Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome back. I am so sorry I missed it last time. Although I was there listening, I was not able to join, but I'm so happy to see everyone today. I mean, Bruno should be coming soon. And besides that, how's everybody doing today?
Everybody's doing amazing. Hello. First of all, I just heard this, music, and it already charged me up for a good mood. Woo-hoo!
That's it. All
I
right.
was dancing when we came in. I don't know that waiting music. I find it fun.
Remind me to party with you two ladies. Anyways, so today's topic is emotional intelligence. So, what do you ladies think? Is that something that people are just born with, or it can actually be created? Can you actually develop it, and you can cultivate it in yourself?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Which one?
both of those. Yes, absolutely. You're born with a level of emotional intelligence, and absolutely your skills can be developed with application and attention.
Yeah. Welcome, Facebook user. I would love to know your name. Welcome, and we're glad to have you here.
It could be Toby. You know what comes for me when it comes to emotional intelligence? We all know about intellectual intelligence, right? But
Mhm.
nobody taught us how to handle our emotions. And now it comes to that realization when we know that when we really start studying ourselves and know the tools to use to control our emotions and not allow anybody else to trigger us, right? Knowing that we can preserve that peaceful balance no matter what's going on, no matter the boss can yell, the partner can yell, anybody else could go off the roof, I wouldn't care.
Yeah. And that is the beauty about learning how to control it. And I agree with Kara. There are people that are born naturally with that. I got this. I can do anything, and I can be very center and zen all the way through. I have a friend. The other day, I was maybe like 3, 4 weeks ago. I was driving, usually kind of fast, and one of my tires actually blew up, and I lost control of the car. Luckily, there was no other cars, no nothing. But I called my car insurance and I told them, hey, I should have towing and emergency roadside and da da da. And they're like, yeah, I see that you're paying for towing, but not roadside. So we cannot help you with the tire. We can tow you to the nearest. And I'm like, look, I just need roadside. That's it. Well, long story short, the thing is that I had to call a friend to show up. I was already upset because this happened at 9 a.m. It was noon already, and I had no answer from my insurance, no answer from anybody. I was beyond upset, and this guy was so calm. So calm to the point that it actually calmed me down after 4 hours.
Yeah.
So it is something that people are just born that have it naturally, and it's a good thing to have because, like Irina said, we're not born with it. And if you come from a family like mine, they're all over the chart because nobody taught us how to deal with our emotions. Our parents dealing with our emotions was, let me show you the belt or the wooden spoon. You pick.
Well, and
There you go.
dealing with emotions is not the same. So emotional regulation, emotional management are parts of emotional intelligence, but that's not all of emotional intelligence. What is a great way to give this as a simple example? Okay. Amygdala hijacks. This is where I'm going to start talking. So this is something that every person I have ever met on the planet so far has experienced, because all of our thoughts, feelings, emotions are all housed in the amygdala. It's like the internal teenager who absolutely knows everything. which most teenagers absolutely know everything. And in the amygdala's defense, really, it's a collection of all of this content. But sometimes something will happen. Somebody will say something, somebody will do something, and it'll trigger an emotional response in us. Everything that anybody does, doesn't do, everything triggers a response within your brain. That's literally how the brain works. But an amygdala hijack happens when this thing happens here. But because of my traumas, my experience, my dramas, my life, I connect this thing to this thing over here. And now I'm mad at you because you brought this thing up, but I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the situation from 16 years ago that is still something that, because I am not managing and regulating my emotions consistently, it rears its ugly head. But it doesn't always. So every single one of us have a level of emotional intelligence, but that's like comparing levels of intelligence. Some people are incredibly book smart, but you put them out on a market and they're like, oh, aren't you?
Yep.
And then there are people who can navigate the world effortlessly, but you put them in front of a book and they're like, my brain is oozing out of my head. Why are you? So intelligence looks different on different people at different places.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. My grandfather used to say that you have to have the book knowledge, you have to have the street knowledge, and you have to have the life knowledge. And by life, he meant being able to deal with other people in different type of situations and with different types of education from other people.
Tool. I'm going to go directly into tool shares today because
Sure.
this is like one of my favorite conversations. I absolutely fixate and geek out on emotional intelligence. Once I realized that if I could make the problem me, then I could fix it, I was like, everything is me.
You know what? This week I've had to say a couple of times, things that normally would have thrown me way off. You know what? More than likely is me. And then I started thinking, why did I get there? And then all of the sudden, my memory unlocked a situation that happened in the past. And it's like, oh, that's what it is.
That is emotional intelligence. That's a perfect example of emotional intelligence. And we all do that to varying degrees. The greatest tool around emotional intelligence is the reality that just because somebody else is absolutely right in no way means that you're wrong. And just because you are absolutely right in no way means the other person is wrong. For example, right, you reacted and you were like, why is this happening? And your feelings are 100% valid in that situation, as well as what happens, in the memory you unlocked. Your feelings are valid all the way through, same as somebody else's. We tend to want to go, well, you don't get to feel that way because that's not how I wanted you to feel. That's not how it works. I'm gonna feel how I'm gonna feel. You're gonna feel how you're gonna feel, and it's valid because that's based on my memories, my feelings, my experiences, my traumas, my dramas. But just because that's 100% right for me and exactly what I am experiencing doesn't mean that you're feeling what I'm feeling, because you're coming from your point of view.
Yep.
Can I also share the tool?
Please.
So my tool is emotion labeling, because a lot of times we call something very simple, like we are saying, I feel bad or I feel good, right? So I invite everybody to start like labeling the emotions as precisely as possible. For instance, when we feel sad, we just notice and say, I'm frustrated or I'm disappointed. So when we use that wide range of emotional vocabulary, we actually can express ourselves better, our feelings, and we could actually self-reflect on these feelings, kind of track them back, connect them to our thoughts. What exactly causing all of that?
Can I expand on that? Because that is you see any happy dancing over? That is such a fantastic practice. And I would level it up in go ahead and take 5 minutes. Take it right now. Actually, while I'm talking and you're watching, list all of the emotions you remember feeling from the last 24 hours. Like what's coming up for you, right? And you'll probably find, to Arena's point, you're like, I felt sad. I felt happy. I felt irritated. I felt worried. Really simple concepts. And then at the end of this, go and look up a list of like 100 different emotions. There are some here. I'll pop one into our private chat so Johnny can share it with everybody. Here's a link to a list of infographics around emotions from the University of, no, which one was it? University of West Alabama. There you go. There's one. Go look up a list of emotions and just read through it. Don't highlight or circle or overthink it. Just read through them and then write down all of the memories, the emotions you remember having in the last 24 hours after looking at the list. And watch as one list is, on average, when we do this with emotional intelligence, you get between 3 to 8 is a typical number the first time. And then upwards of 8 to 16 after you have a list, because that is awareness of your emotions. And we all know awareness allows impact.
Totally. And the other good thing is also to scan our body, because our body is also gonna notify us about our emotions. For instance, when we feel tense in our shoulder area, this identifies the stress. Or when we feel this, like a flattering feeling in our stomach, it's interesting. It could be, excitement, and at the same time, it could be, like something that we are worrying about. So it's great, like actually scan our body and get more present and really understand which, feeling relates to what emotions.
Yeah.
By the way, we just got a like. Thank you, Roxanne Star.
Oh, hey, Roxanne.
So that brings me to my next question. I mean, why is this not being taught in schools? Because let's be honest, math is important because we want to be able to deal with our finances. I believe the literature is very important because I hear somebody speaking in the wrong way and it's like, what's wrong with you? You see, emotional intelligence. I don't tell them that. I think about it, but I don't tell them that.
How intelligent.
But the next one is like, why these topics that are so important for our day-to-day lives are not being taught in school?
Go, Arena. I went first the last 3 times because I jumped on it. What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, I don't know why. That's why a lot of people do homeschooling. Nowadays, public schools are really frowned upon because they teach only what society wants people to know. So they actually, put a lot of garbage in the heads of the kids. But I believe there are a lot of countries that already nowadays, teaching children the emotional intelligence. And Kara, I know you can expand on that.
And I would even say in this country, you actually get a lot of that training in school. Most of kindergarten through 3rd grade, other than teaching you letters, colors, and numbers, that is 90% of what teachers are actually, in fact, working with children on. Only we don't call it emotional intelligence for the same reason that we talk about sex ed and don't really bring up sex, because as soon as you start putting the actual terminology in there, somebody somewhere in the community gets mad that you're a dare to talk to their kid about how that is and how you might not tell it the way they want it told. Which, fair, right? From their point of view, that's 100% valid. For me, I think that's crazy. That's why we have clinical definitions and terminology, and if people knew them, it's very helpful. But that's my BS, which is right for me.
Kara, I'm gonna challenge you because my daughter went through the school. They haven't taught her. She just graduated last year. My son is actually in a private school. They don't have anything close to emotional intelligence. So I don't know, dear, where you're picking it up. Maybe it's specific schools, but not in New York City. I don't see it.
But again, it's most of the work that they do in the early parts of grade school. Here's an interesting fact I learned from the teachers that I have as clients. Did you know that a good first week of kindergarten means that less than 7 kids got naked in class that day?
Wow.
So while we're holding them accountable to this hierarchy of educational expectations that the school board puts out there, in a practical real life, they're the ones who get these kids who bite and hit and kick, and they have to go, okay, I understand that you are frustrated and that you're upset right now because Susie's using the toy that you want. That does not mean that you get to take that from Susie. That doesn't mean you get to bite Susie. That doesn't mean you get to hit Susie. That's emotional intelligence and emotional regulation. Again, absolutely, they do not teach this in high school.
Absolutely, that because they have to continue, right, Kara? It's not like one and done, and we know it firsthand. It has to be cultivated, years to years to years on a, like on a continuous basis, right? So whatever they, I agree with you that they do introduce it in the earlier age, but what happened after?
Yeah, because kids get that hormone soup.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Like you need a re-up.
And I agree with both of you, because as now that Kara plays that scenario, I can definitely see it. And I also agree with Irina, where okay, now you did that at the early ages. What are we doing to cultivate? And that's the part that it's like, okay, if schools are not doing it, parents, what are we doing? Are you working with your kid on a reward-based program? And listen to this, I'm saying reward-based program, because it's not about punishment. It's about getting them to understand that being able to hold their own and understanding where they can and cannot go should be rewarded, because we want better people for our future. We want our society to get better. And there's no other way that if the schools are not taking lead on it, on cultivating it, us. Because one of the biggest mistakes, and I recently had a talk with one of my best friends. He does not practice any religion, but we have a friend in common that is very into his church. And lately, because they're doing the fasting at his church, he was surprised that the 5-year-old in the family told the mom, don't forget that I cannot eat meat. Make sure that I don't have anything from animals. Blah, blah, blah. And he was amazed. And then he's like, oh, immediately, I have to take my kids to your church. So I pulled him to the side. Of course, I will never say it in front of the kids. But I'm like, dude, what makes you think that church is going to fix what you have not been able to teach them since they were born? Go ahead.
I mean, that's it though, right? Like, the reason we don't have kids in school yet on a intentional, trackable, we're talking about emotional intelligence, blunt sort of space, is because we can't even do that with adults yet. When I go, I don't know how many trainings or board meetings I have been in that you bring up the term emotional intelligence and already there's eye rolling and people are like, But when you bring up the ability to regulate yourself in an uncomfortable situation, they're like, oh, say more about that. And you're like, hey, that's emotional intelligence. And they're like, no. How about understanding how your brain works so that you can become aware and insert your own decisions sooner and more rapidly into what you are creating in your brain? They're like, oh yeah, we want more of that. Cool. That's emotional intelligence. They're like, no. You're like, yeah, no, it really is though. Yeah.
Yes, being able to deal with those uncomfortable situations, it's emotional intelligence. And that brings me to my next point. Okay, And I love that Kara actually went ahead of the ball on this one and said, what happened with adults? If we're trying to teach kids, what's going on with the adults? And that is true, because just a minute ago she mentioned one thing that I wanted to say, which up to a point I agree with some people, but beyond that, I agree there's medical terminology, there's specific names for specific things, and we as people should stop getting offended by hearing the real thing. I mean, we have to call things as what they are. I have my cell phone in my hand. I'm not gonna call this thing a rock just because it's gonna offend somebody else. You know, it's just common sense up to a point. Now, the next thing is, Kiara and Irina just a minute ago mentioned a few tools, but I also wanna invite you to journal. Journal your thoughts. Journal your emotions. That is one tool that has helped me. You know, it's tough sometimes to look how many times I have done that I have lost it, because let's be honest, I'm human, and I'm gonna make a mistake. And I'm like, oh, this week I really messed up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Oh, let me see how many of those are actually the same thing. So then I start tracking down, okay, I really have to be more mindful when this situations XYZ appear. That is the one of the biggest things. So the next thing is, okay, once we have a journal, we have figured out where we're messing up the most, let's take action. Let's take action. Let's hold each other accountable. And when I say accountable, you can either, if you have a best friend, if you have your life partner, somebody else that can actually, with love and care, tell you, hey, dude, girl, you're going the wrong way. You want to go that way. So that's one way. We have Bruno joining us. Welcome, Bruno.
What's up?
Yay!
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm late. I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm here.
Hey, better late than never, brother. It's more important to
Cheers.
show up.
What are they?
Johnny, can I just add to your extend a little bit to your journaling a strategy or tool?
Yeah.
I also want to invite people to do something. It's called emotional tracking, when we actually notice our emotions and record them throughout the day at different times. And we notice who we are with and what exactly was triggering us with the certain emotions. And then over time, it actually helps us to identify the patterns in our emotional responses. And it actually help us to navigate and deal with that and work on it.
Yes.
Hmm.
That is important.
And if you are in business and you are listening to this, and you're one of the many who are like, why is this really important? How is it going to benefit me? Okay, first, it's going to help you understand the difference between actual and contextual truths, which is going to help you navigate the world, period. And also, while we don't have a emotional intelligence or accountability course in our education system, it absolutely has been something that we have been building into our children. So the current workforce expects it. The previous workforce is really appreciated. You could get people to stay because they appreciated if you were emotionally and intelligent and could take accountability for your emotions and move forward from it. The new workforce expects it. Like, if you can't do that, if they can do it better than you, then why are you getting a higher paycheck than them?
Yep. It's important for you to pay attention to those little things, because sometimes you may be in a spot where you're like, I don't understand, why am I stuck? If I'm a good person, what this and that. Sometimes it could be a change of attitude, and emotional intelligence will help you flip that switch where you can actually start getting ahead. So the next thing that I want to bring up is, okay, now we have gone through tools, we have gone through society, we have gone on why parents should be helping their kids and why parents should be trying to help themselves and how to do it. The next thing would be understanding that you cannot control everything. In
Love it.
emotional intelligence is gonna help you let go a little bit while it's gonna hurt inside. And I say that because that was my process. I don't know how was everybody else's process, but my process was like, I understand I have to let go. I understand, but inside I was feeling like it was somebody was pulling the life out of me. So, can anybody share how was their path up now with emotional intelligence?
I mean,
Karen.
I can. I can. Absolutely. Have I deep dived with multiple therapists on this? Yes, I have. Absolutely. My path went because, I don't know how I'm presenting these days, but anybody who's known me growing up, and when I say I have control issues, they go, yeah, yes. That is factually accurate. I've been in therapy for it. Yeah. And so this was a way for me to turn that dis-ease into a power. Emotional intelligence, accountability made it so that I didn't have to control the weather anymore. I mean, I 100% am that person who's like, oh, the internet's down. I'm so sorry. It rained today. I have some say in that. That's not in my purview. I don't have control over that, but I'm apologizing for it because I got control issues. So if I got to circle it back and I get to control the way I think, the way I speak, and the way I behave, and that's it, then I can let other people do it. And I don't have to control them. And boy, has that been one of the most relieving things. Because, and I say this, you guys have said this, I'm sure, in this before. There's just not enough duct tape on the planet to control other people. And in that direction lies stress.
I'm sorry.
Totally.
I agree with you.
Totally.
Did I mention control issues? Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. You know what? For me, I was always very peaceful person inside, but obviously when I remember when I already left the job where the boss was like micromanaging me, and I remember even still being at night and my dreams, I used to fight with him. That was so bad, right? Like I'm already out of that place, and I think it's so relevant to a lot of people. Like we carry that baggage, right? And we just make that load heavy on ourselves. Like, the thing happened a while ago. Like, why would it still matter, right? But it just shows up, right? So at one point when you work on yourself, you realize, hey, like heck with that. I'm just like dropping that. That's it. From now on, I just care about myself. Why would I care about that situation that happened to me, right? And like to Johnny's point, yeah, we cannot control anybody. We cannot control anybody's actions, anybody's words toward us, but we can control ourselves, how we react, right? So practicing the pause before actually jumping and saying something as a response to whatever person was telling us, right? I think it requires a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's like one of the best skills, like pause. It gives the time for you to kind of, come up with your senses, and it allows that opponent to be like a little bit like, wait, did they say something wrong?
Yep.
Or am I just triggered? Yeah.
That is true. That is
Mm-hmm.
true. Or am I just triggered? That is absolutely true. How about you, Bruno? I know you wanted to say something a minute ago.
Yes. I always want to say something. So, basically, I think it has to do with the importance we give to it, right? And when we transition from a time where it was so important for us, we had to deal with that constantly. That person was important for us. That job was important for us. Family, friends, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it's very easy to carry something from something that is in the past, because I still do it. I still have to cut energetic bonds with things that happened to me in 2022. It's been 2 years, man. Right? I still have some energetic bonds that I sometimes are in my memories that I have to get from 2022 because of how traumatizing it was, right? Because there are times where there's some anger in there still, man. And that's where I would like to encourage and talk about control issues, right? And it's like, I mean, Jesus Christ, right? And but then again, it all comes down to the importance that we give, because memories don't have ends and memories don't have feet, and they cannot strangle us unless we let them, right? And I think it's it's like for me, emotional intelligence in this situation for me means like I get a lot of vibes. The vibe I get from this is like, it's like the less you care, the happier you are. Like that's like the
Totally.
less you care, the happier.
Totally.
The less you care, the happier you are. Like literally, and it's easier to talk and then to do it, because as I mentioned now about also my situation and sometimes how things really are for me, right? But that's where you have to breathe in it, and there's the tools and the techniques, right? But I think it has to do with the importance that we give to it, right? Because obviously, there's always the ego, right? The emotion is sometimes very hard to deal with. Whether you're a man or a woman, we're made 80% of water, and we are connected to this universe and this moon that like has to deal with like waves, tides, waves, it's water, right? So it's always back and forth like us, like it has a pull on us as well, right? In our energy, right? And I swear to God, it's just like, it can be either a fight or you can choose not to fight, right? And you just let go because there's nothing to fight really. You're fighting against yourself, right? The enemy, it's like it's you versus you, like, And I think this is the first thing that people have to be aware of is that you're fighting yourself. That's it. There's no enemy but you. You are your enemy, right? That's it. You can either be your enemy or you can be your best friend. And I think that's the first thing that people really have to understand when it comes like to emotional intelligence from my point of view, from my point of view. Yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
Okay. So as you can see, we have different ways that we have learned emotional intelligence in different scenarios. I mean, Irina, I was laughing when you were telling your story because recently I had a dream like that, and then when I woke up, I had to really wake myself up that it was a dream.
Go away, choo choo choo.
Why are you so quick? I'm mad at you. You were rude in my dream.
Something like that. So we all reach emotional intelligence one way or another. And as I always say, life gives you what you need and not what you want. As you grow up, regardless of how old you are, life is going to keep giving you a test until you solve it, until you pass it. And we can't escape that. We all have come to Earth not only to be happy, but to grow spiritually, mentally, and really create a bond with other people. And when I say really create a bond, I mean, in the army, they always tell us people don't know how much you care until you show them you care. And that is one of the things that we are here to do. People that maybe your coworkers, maybe family members, you really want to go ahead and reach out to them, express to them how much you care about them, because people can show you things that you may never in a million years have noticed of you or of somebody else, because people that are in front of you, they're your mirror, they're your masters. They have crossed your path for a reason. We have not crossed our paths because just the internet wanted to. So it's really, really important for you to understand and appreciate everybody who's around you. That way you can humbly take your lessons or emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence, I think, at least to me, it's been the hardest thing to learn, because I came from a country and I was blessed enough to come to the US, but I came from a country where everything is solved by fighting or shooting. Simple. There's no thinking about it. There's no less. No. Either I shoot you or I kill you. But one way or another, we're fixing it. So I was blessed enough to come here to the U.S. Come again?
The real definition of control issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just that resonated with me with my teens. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, Kara, you're fantasizing about Murder Woman. What the fuck?
I heard a story when I lived in Mexico about a friend who got into a fight with one of his friends, and he was like, "I need you to give me $100." He's like, "Why? Do you need? We're in the middle of a fight." He goes, "I need to buy a gun to kill you with." And he's like, "I'm gonna give you $100 to buy a gun to kill me. I'll give you 20. What kind of friend do you think that I would spend $20 on a gun to kill you with? That's not worth." That is the most ridiculous conversation, and also part of me gets it. We get it.
I'm not gonna buy a black market kind of gun, for
25. If you're my friend, I'm gonna kill you with quality.
Yeah, of course.
Quality. You're gonna kill him with respect.
Welcome to the dark side of humor from Kara and me, because I'm so enjoying that joke. Anyways, so those are things that I would love to, remind you people. Always care for other people. And the next thing, Kara left us a link for some, what was it that people were?
Basic emotions. So this is going to walk you through some basic titles and give you some details into how they expand. So just sort of a, become aware of the emotions, the basic emotions that all of us go through, so that you can start, to Irina's point, learning about the different nuances of your emotional journey.
Mm-hmm. Irina mentioned emotional journaling. You can go ahead and start writing down who you're with or what you're doing. These are just a few of the tools that will help you. And the next one is, or the what I said earlier, is that same thing with the journal. Try to figure out what is your most frequent emotion and why it gets triggered. The other thing that I think we all mentioned was like really pause. When something triggers you or gives you that pit in your stomach, pause. Let it sink in. You don't have to reply in that second. Sometimes doing that is the worst thing you can do to yourself or others. And figure out, why is it bothering me, or why is it triggering me this way? Because sometimes it's nonsense.
Totally nonsense.
Yeah. This week I've been going through a lot of things that have triggered me, and I've had to stop and walk away from even replying, changing the subject completely, because later on I found out, okay, this is the reason why this triggered. So,
and then remember, as you're reaching out to people, if they give you feedback about you that you don't love, that doesn't make you wrong. It also means that they're right from their point of view. All you have to do is say, I appreciate that you feel that way. If that's not the feeling you want them to have, say, how can I make you feel another way?
Yes.
You don't have to fight them on it. That's their reality, not yours. And other people are really thinking more about, I'm really busy being the center of my universe, Bruno's being the center of his universe, Rena's being the center of her universe, Johnny's being the center of his universe. We love each other deeply and care and want to support each other. Also, we have our own lives. Most people's reactions to what's going on with you has more to do with them than to do with you.
Mm-hmm. That little bit of compassion can take you a long way, even in your own healing, process, because let's be honest, we all need therapy, we all need healing. I don't care how many therapy sessions you've gone. I have gone through many of them, and I still need more of it. And if you have, if you trust the person enough and you have that bond with that person, you may want to ask them, what made you feel that way? Why? And the question that Kara just made, how can I make you feel better? Because understanding the what and why is making them feel bad can completely change your point of view. 1,000%. Just like when we started, I mentioned why schools are not teaching this, emotional intelligence, and Kara brought a point that I didn't even think about. Preschool and preschool teachers are dealing with emotional intelligence all the time.
Yeah.
And I just completely forgot about it. So that is
Everything
true.
I needed to learn, I learned in kindergarten. Good book.
Totally, right?
Yes.
Back in the day, like there used to be like in Portugal, there used to be like I used to like in 5th grade, I used to have like this module, like this, like you call it chair in Portugal. It depends, But like we used to have this module called like so in Portugal they call it formação cívica. I don't think that even exists anyway as a module anyway. So in English, yeah, like civic formation.
Civics, yeah.
Like which is basically like like your class director would come in and they're like, so you have any questions about this? You have any questions about that? What about today? Like, why don't we work anything about like, why don't we learn anything sexual today? Or what is this or what is that? Or it was an actual model where we would chill, right? And we could ask anything we wanted to our class director. I don't know if that still exists, but like yeah, it stopped existing. I mean, I stopped having it for some time. But it is kind of interesting because like like I think especially in school, like emotional, like I just remember something very funny. Hours ago, I was watching a video. I was like on Instagram and I was in the bathroom and I like to be in the bathroom and watching the phone and stuff, like whatever. And I was doing my stuff, right?
Like
so like I'm
of the world.
Yeah, like a lot of like basically like everybody, right? Yeah, right. You're chilling, you're there, right? No problem, you're doing your thing. Oh, okay,
where else
cool,
do you doom scroll?
Yeah.
Come on now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was there,
real.
boom, and then like this video, yeah, and then like this video on Instagram came up, and they were talking about the Japanese educational system, and these fuckers, right? They're so smart. They're super smart, right? Because like kids, right? They don't even apparently for what he was saying, right? And I believe it is relevant information. Until their 4th grade, they don't have exams. And they teach independence to kids. Like kids, they go like, home and they come back and stuff and they're alone, right? And they, how was it as well? Yeah, like they teach like respect and stuff. Like there's no janitors in school. Like they do it all by themselves. Like, right, like cleaning and stuff. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. Like, that's amazing, I was like, God damn, like, yeah, but that's kind of, like, because we're talking about school and emotional intelligence, right?
Yep. So with this, now that we have come full circle, we would like to wrap. Thank you everybody that has been watching. Thank you everybody that came live. Until next Thursday. Love you guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
See you next time.